Peace, love, peace, health, happiness, and prosperity. This is Dr. Keela here. And I saw this story 2 days ago, and I thought it would be a great teaching lesson here for my channel now that I'm basically rebooting my channel, for the second time? Fingers crossed I stay consistent. Now, this is discussing a young lady who has had 3 C-sections. She's pregnant for the fourth time, and she's in a hospital in Florida. And there's a lot to discuss here, so this is going to be a 2-part video. The first part is to talk about her story. I think her name is Cherise Doyley, and it got to the point where she did not want to have a C-section. She wanted to have a vaginal birth. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you this, please never forget this. When you have been cut on and you had a C-section the first time, it's a wrap. Okay, the doctors are going to advocate for C-sections from then on out. Yes, you're going to have an exception to the rule, but the majority rules. So let's go ahead and get into the story because this is very fascinating. There's a lot to teach in this because I noticed with her, she's morbidly obese and she's a doula. How? and I'm saying to myself, how did the bar go so low that you have? And I'm not down in the sister. I'm not actually, I am criticizing her because if you see me come up in here and I am 300 pounds, hit the downvote and then unsubscribe because clearly I am not practicing what I preach. Okay. I am not saying that women can't get fat. I got fat. I gained 40, 50. I think the largest I've ever gained was 60 pounds. I didn't stay there, but it's like, I understand that, but when you're anywhere from 150 to 200 pounds overweight, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. And you want to be a doula. When I was doing home births with other women that were midwives. Now, let me just say this. When I started my business in 1999, it was legal for women to call themselves midwife. It wasn't until the medical profession decided to take that term and trademark it as a medical title. So women who have been called midwives all their lives had to rebrand themselves and call themselves doula. Now, I work with 2 great doulas, or at that time they was called midwife, but we accustomed when, because as time went on, and I think it was 2005, 2006, I remember specifically using the word doula legally for them. Now, the reason why I said I'm looking down upon a morbidly obese woman who's calling herself a doula, because a lot of the births that I participated in with the doulas were home births because these women chose to have the births at home. I am not saying they couldn't have it at the hospital. I think there was 2 that were at the hospitals and we were there to make sure everything is going great because the woman is not, she's concentrating bringing a life into this world. But a doula has to get underneath a woman. See, ladies and gentlemen, you're not supposed to have a baby on your back. All right. You don't go to the bathroom and do a number 2 on your back. So if you don't defecate on your back, why are you having a baby on your back? Now, that's a long story for another time. I can teach you how we went from squatting to being on our backs to give birth with our legs up in the air in stirrups. No. Now, it's supposed to be a group of women. Every home birth I remember attending were beautiful. It was great. The woman wasn't screaming, yelling, pulling things. It was not like, it was very calm, loving. We were celebrating. We were singing. It was a beautiful thing. And the doula was underneath because we held the woman up. When these sisters are giving birth, okay, they not worried about like being up, squatting, this, that, the other. And I'm, because I'm the strongest, I'm behind her, holding her up, making sure she's up. Okay, the rest of the women are basically massaging her, singing to her, putting ice on her. We just making sure she's comfortable and just actually celebrating and cheering her on, bringing life into this world. The doula is down there. She's down there ready to catch the baby, ready to coach her and say, come on, almost there, almost there. How can you do that if you're morbidly obese? I just don't understand that. Like, you have to you have to get down on the ground and get back up. It's so different now. I've been gone from holistic health and so many things have changed. But anyway, let's go ahead and read this article and then we'll watch the video of the court proceedings. So here's from ProPublica. I'll have the link to this in the description box. So the article starts off, it's difficult to put yourself in the place of Cherise Doyley, a pregnant mother of 3 who found herself facing a judge while in labor at the University of Florida Health Hospital in downtown Jacksonville. She had arrived at the facility with a plan for her birth. She wanted to try for a vaginal delivery. Like I said, when you get one C-section, the doctors are going to be reluctant to let you have a vaginal birth. The more C-sections you have, the more likely you're going to get your next pregnancy going to get a C-section. Also, and I'm going to make sure I put the article here. There's a study that was done 2 years ago where it showed that when morbidly obese women are pregnant and they're going into labor, over 80% of them have to go through a C-section. The thing about it is that when you are morbidly obese, the child is going to have more of I think what the term is a fetal distress syndrome. You're more likely to get a C-section and you're more likely to have labor complications. So it is important to prepare your body prior to getting pregnant. A lot of women wait until the day they get pregnant. Now you want to start getting healthy. It's too late by then because you're so deficient, and that's why everybody want to run and get multivitamins and other stuff. You're supposed to prepare it. And I thought that we were teaching this, but I realized there's a lot of things that were old school that are not being taught today. So I'm going to do my best to spread awareness here. So let me go ahead and finish this article. So where was I? Let's see. I'll read this all over again because I don't know where I stopped. She had arrived at the facility with a plan for her birth. She wanted to try a vaginal delivery, but she understood from years of experience as a professional birth and doula that things don't always go as planned. I'm going to have to question the doula thing. As soon as you find out you're pregnant, you're supposed to get right on an eating regimen. You're supposed to start preparing and researching your options and where you're going to get birth and the best hospitals and the doctors that are recommended and things like that. She arrived overnight at the hospital after her water broke. Doctors told her they were concerned about the risk of uterine rupture. By the way, yes, this is a issue that the doctors will bring to you when you have a C-section. They're going to do that every time. It's always going to be, possibly have a uterine rupture, okay, because the fact that you had a C-section, so that's been cut on, or the baby is in distress. And it is true that when you're morbidly obese, you're going to have a lot of complications with the fetus. So yeah, this is something that they will say to you, and it's factual, I would say, but when you're prepared and you have your body in the best condition ever, you don't have to worry about going through this stuff, whether you go to the hospital or whether you have a home birth. A potentially deadly complication for her and her baby. She understood the risk to be less than 2% and repeatedly told doctors she wouldn't consent to a C-section without trying to have a vaginal delivery first. They would never let you go with that. You had 3 C-sections already. I knew they wasn't going to let her go through a vaginal birth. The doctors appeared to relent, leaving her to labor for several hours. Oh my God, to labor for several more hours. So they was like, you're not going to listen to us? Okay, well then suffer. Come on now. Anyway, then a nursing supervisor wheeled a tablet. Now this is crazy. We're about to watch this in a minute. Then a nursing supervisor wheeled a tablet up to her bed and informed her she was in court. The isn't failing to agree to a C-section. Let me tell y'all something in reference to such a situation like this. You probably asking yourself, how can doctors take you to court? Well, there's several things going on with this young lady. One, she's on Medicaid, okay? So she's on government assistance for her hospital visit. The government is paying for it. That means you are owned by the government. They basically own you. If you don't do what they say, they can actually do things without your consent, because you consent when you sign papers, and you also agree to get government funding for anything going on with you medical wise, whether you make a visit for a checkup, or you go there because you're going to have a baby. The second thing is that they can always use the excuse of the fact that, hey, she has always had C-sections. There's no need for her to have a vaginal birth, and we consider this a medical emergency. Let me show you all something here, and I want you to keep this in mind. C-sections is surgery. C-sections are considered surgery. It's a surgical procedure. It costs more than vaginal births. So I Googled, what is the average price of a C-section here in America? So this C-section surgery, and the average amount is $26,000 to $29,000, depending upon where you are. If you are in New York, it's probably going to be more expensive. If you are in California, I know it's $32,000 in California. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends. Now, look at the range, $26,000 to $29,000. So I turned around and I asked Google, how much does it cost for a vaginal birth? $14,768 to $15,712. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? You all need to keep this in mind when you go to the hospital. All right? Keep this in mind. C-section, this is how much it costs, whether you are on Medicaid or insurance or you're paying out of pocket. This is how much it costs to have a baby if you're going vaginal. So now you can see why I'm like, yeah, once they get you that one time, if you do your research and you're around women, seek women who were determined to have a vaginal birth, whether they was having it at home or they were having, well, obviously they can only have a vaginal birth at home, or they was going to have it in the hospital. Some women opt for to go to a birthing center that's in a hospital. Okay, there's certain hospitals that have birthing type centers that's similar to a home, but there's medical staff just in case. So you basically, the doctors are really somewhat hands off. The nurse will come in, but just in case there's complication there while you're giving birth naturally. Some women do it with the water birth. Some women just do it, squatting and home birth, but they have that just in case as well. And other women just do it at their home. So this is what I want you to understand. When C-sections are being pushed more, follow the money. Okay. All right. So here we have, when advocates for pregnant women say that you shouldn't lose your constitutional rights just because you conceive, this is the kind of situation they're talking about. Yeah. Well, like I said, if you sign your rights over to the state of Florida or the state of Georgia or the state of California, they own you. They just do. And I when I looked at this, I said, it seems like women don't know this. So this is the reason why I'm making this video. So let's go. The entire process is crazy. So we have about 6 video clips. Don't worry. They're pretty short and to the point. And we're going to follow the process. So homegirl, like Miss Doyley, is laid up in labor. She's like straight up in labor. And all of a sudden, these nurses come in with this huge monitor. And they let her know, yeah, you're in court. She doesn't have any representation. She is not prepared. defend herself legally. She's in labor. She shouldn't have to be thinking like, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? I do commend this sister for handling herself well, but this was crazy to watch. So let's go ahead and watch it. This is the first clip where they go ahead and let her know that she's currently in court.
It's a real judge, you know.
By the way, look at the middle thing right here. That's the nurse, and they're letting her know you're in court. We're suing you to perform a C-section on you. And if the court says yes, we're going to basically force you against your will to get a C-section.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I wasn't being hyperbolic. It's a real judge.
Let me get
This is the craziest thing I ever seen.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I know you may be able to see me on your screen in just a second here. I'll introduce myself. I do see you on. Can you hear me okay, ma'am?
Oh, yes, sir. I can hear you perfectly fine.
Okay. So that's the first clip. I don't know why they just didn't play it all the way through. So that's her. She says you can hear it perfectly fine. By the way, I have to commend the judge here. Spoiler alert, he doesn't allow the medical profession to basically force her to have a C-section. But it's like the fact that she's going through this. Ladies, you have to have your own agency. I don't know how many times I got to tell you this. Okay. Mama may have, Papa may have, but God bless the child who has her own. And when you have to depend on daddy government, when you have to depend on the white coats for your survival, for you to bring in life, why? You all normalize natural hair. Granted, it was a phase. It came and it went. But can we normalize eating naturally? Can we normalize getting back to natural foods and natural herbs and natural medicine and also the natural way of living? Okay. I see that things have changed so much since I'm gone, and I guess this is the reason why I'm here looking at this. So let's watch the second clip.
My name is Michael Khalil. I'm a circuit court judge here in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm here in Duval County. The state of Florida has filed a petition for declaratory judgment. It's an emergency petition that they have filed. There's a number of people that you see. You may be able to see them on screen. We're on Zoom right now. And just so you know, this is being recorded. There's not a court reporter here, but it is being recorded for the record, and that'll be made available if any transcript is necessary and for any other proceedings as well. We are here, though, on this emergency petition where the state has, and I'm going to kind of summarize it very briefly.
Crazy.
I'll have the state be able to explain it specifically what they're requesting, but in short order, they're requesting that I declare, and I have not heard any evidence or testimony yet, but they're based upon the medical situation that's alleged in their petition. They're asking for an emergency C-section be granted by the court. In just a few moments, I'm going to give the state an opportunity of presenting any evidence or testimony that they may like to present. In addition, I'll hear from you as well as present any cross-examination, I suppose, if you wanted to ask any questions of the doctors. I see that you have your phone out as well. Just so you know, in terms of the recording of this, we do have this via Zoom. That'll be made available to you.
Always record. Always have your own recording. Do not rely on the courts to provide you the copy of a Zoom call. You want to make sure she's doing a good job by still recording on her end. So she wants to record what she's saying, what's being heard. Now, maybe everything is not being heard since she has the mic this way, but good job on her for recording, because she doesn't have any representation. Like they literally just dropped this court case on her immediately. And I'm thinking wait a minute, you're supposed to have a legal representation when you're going to court. And they didn't even prepare her for it. They didn't even tell her this ahead of time. This is mind blowing, actually.
You as well, if there was any transcript necessary, but I don't want you to become distracted.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that I report this, because I have not had a chance to be able to consult with my own legal representation, and I'm trying to understand how
you are taking my rights away as a patient to be able to decide my own care to give me an emergency C-section against my will.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this. When you go to the medical doctors, you have to do what they tell you to do. Let me say that again. When you go to the medical doctor, you have to do what the doctor tells you to do. And if you don't do what the doctor tells you to do, then they will tell you to leave. It has happened to my friends. It happened to me. For the first time in my entire life, I was admitted into the hospital for a staph infection. It was a life lesson. I've learned a lot from it. But when I stopped allowing them to take blood from me, they released, by the way, shout out to the sister. I don't even know her name, but I was telling her how I hate that they have to take blood from me every daggone day that I'm in there because it's hurting me. I hate it. I already have a phobia with needles. And that sister looked at me and said, you want to stop them from stop them from taking blood for you, and you want to get out of here so you can go home and heal? Say no. You can tell them no. And I know I had the right to deny them from taking blood to me. It just never occurred to me until she said it. She said, you want to be out of here? Deny them access to take your blood again, and you'll be out of here quick. And I think this happened on a Thursday or Friday. Thursday and Friday when they first came into the morning, because they was taking blood from me twice a day. It was ridiculous. And so when they came in to the morning time to take blood from me, I said no. Then they came in the afternoon, because like I said, they usually come in the morning and the evening. But since I said no to the morning, they tried it again in the afternoon. I said no. Then they tried again four hours later. I said no. Then they came in 2 hours later. I said no. Then them and the doctor and the supervisor came in and said, we would like to know why you're not taking blood. I said, and I told them why. So I said, one, I don't understand why y'all keep taking blood from me twice a day. It's painful. I don't like it, and I'm standing my ground. I didn't snitch on the sister. I didn't tell them, well, the nurse said if I want to get out of here, because I did want to get out of there, but I wanted them to basically tell me how can I help my face heal? Come to find out, once I got home, I healed on my own. I did the research. I know what to do, okay? And it's just like I was at the lowest point of my life at that moment, and there you go. And so once I denied them on that Thursday or Friday, the next day they came in with my paperwork and said, you're being released because you denied service. You need to sign right here stating that you understand that you decline to take to a service, meaning that I declined them to take my blood. And they had the wheelchair right there. They was ready to put my stuff. They got me out there within 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, so that's when I realized, when you are in that hospital, you are under their rules. You are under their jurisdiction. You are under their commands. And in my case, I'm paying out of pocket. So they cannot force me to do anything. And I didn't sign anything anyway, except for stating that I acknowledged that I declined service and I'm out of here. But yeah, this is some crazy work. I thought this was wow, a straight court hearing right in the room where she's going through labor.
I don't want to be a statistic, and I came here out of precaution. However, I still have rights as an American citizen and as a patient, that I am allowed to decide what goes on with me and my body and my baby.
Well, let me ask you about that. What about the risks to the child? The doctors testified about some risks, and help me understand that.
In regards to what? Because she's saying that the uterine rupture can cause the placenta to abrupt, and it's a lot of what ifs and maybes. Anytime you go into child,
she's right. She's absolutely right. But honey, baby, sweetie, you a doula. You should know better than this. You should know. I don't know when you became a doula, but if you was a doula when you had your first C-section, shame on you. But she's absolutely right. But when I don't know how many times I got to tell you all, when you submit yourself to the medical institution, you are at their mercy. You have to do what they tell you to do. You have to do it. If you don't want to do what they tell you to do, don't go.
Childbirth, whether you do a vaginal or a C-section, there is inherent risk to the mother and the baby. So if it's between them choosing whether I have to live or the baby has to live, I did tell them that I want to live. I have other children out here in the world that need me. And that is my right. Because at the end of the day, if I die from a C-section, nobody on this call is going to take care of my children.
That's true.
And that's just being frank.
Mhm.
Okay, so I am concerned about the well-being of my child. But at the end of the day, with my background, I can read a trace just like they can. And there's nothing that is saying that this is an emergency situation that I have to be rushed into a C-section within an hour.
So, and she's right. They were using fear tactics on her to get her to agree to a C-section, but she should know this. She should know this. If you're a doula and you have been in the hospital for the last of your 3 births and you had a C-section, like how is this? Like, I would love to talk to her to find out, like, where was her mind at during all of this? Like, how did you get to the point where you're like, yeah, let me have my 4th baby in the hospital? You know, I get it. She's morbidly obese. She probably has some pre-existing conditions, so she had to go. And if you have to go, you have to listen to the doctor. If you have to go, you have to do what the doctor tells you to. If you have to go, you have to follow orders by the medical doctor. It's not one of these things where you're going in there and you get to run things. You just don't. They run things. My goal is to stay out of hospitals as much as possible, especially after 2018. After 2018, I said, I will never let myself get sick like that again. I will never, ever let my immune system get so low that I have an infection, a deadly infection that could kill me. All right. And sometimes the universe will do things to wake you up. And that was one of my wake up calls. And I'm very appreciative of it. I've healed from it. I've learned a lot from it. However, I understood even while laying in that hospital bed that I am at the mercy of the doctors and that what they're doing to me, you know, saying, what can I do? If I could say no. And of course, when you say no, they get you out, which is what I eventually did. When that beautiful nurse told me, like, if you don't like the blood, giving them taking blood from you every day, twice a day, just say no. And then boom, they'll get you out. Because the first 3 days I was there, I just didn't understand what that staph infection was. I didn't understand why it was happening to me. I wasn't understanding what it was, and they weren't trying to teach me. So I had to have nurses come and teach me, and I had to have research on my phone to learn it. And then once I began to understand, I knew, like, okay, when I get home, I know what to do to tackle this. And, you know, hoping that the doctors would give me a more understanding and teach me, but that never happened. I end up having to do the research myself, on the top of the research that I learned in the hospital, along with the stuff that the nurses was teaching me in the hospital, and I went on from there. So, okay, so we have let's look at this one here after she gave her testimony.
I do not plan on transferring
Oh, you do?
moment, but I do not want anybody that's involved in this case to perform any type of medical procedures on me.
Well, you have a new doctor coming on. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they don't have anybody African American that they can give me.
Let me ask you. I don't know that. Then I don't find that race really has much to do with this, ma'am.
It does have much to do with it because historically, Black people do better when they have healthcare providers that look like them. So
okay, this is true, but please don't think that just because you get a Black doctor or a Black female doctor that they are like automatic allies. They still a medical doctor, and they were going to do what is taught to them in medical school and based upon the rules and regulations of the institution, the medical institution that they are employed under. Now, I do agree, seeing a black doctor. I like when it comes to an esthetician, I only go to a black woman. When it comes to my hair, only a black woman would touch my hair. I have had locks since 1998. I think I started my locks in 1998. And through that process, I have had 3 black women. The first one retired, and then I went to her apprentice, and her apprentice fell in love and moved somewhere. And then my current lock stylist, Yolanda, I have been with her for, I would have to say, for 15 years. And I'm going to be with her till death, or till she retire. But it's like I would not go to anyone. I would not go to a non-black woman for my hair, for my skin. When it comes to my health, they will be able to relate better, because it's things that we as black people, particularly black women, go through that no other race can relate to. And so I can totally understand what she's saying, but you're in a medical profession, and maybe black doctor, especially a black female doctor, will be more sympathetic. I do believe that's going to be the case. I do believe that can be the case. But I had a black doctor. It was a male doctor, but it was a black doctor nonetheless when I had that staph infection. And he was just like, well, these things happen. We don't know why that happened. I don't know. Like, he couldn't tell me nothing. And it was like I was just a number that day. He didn't know. He didn't know my name immediately. The nurses knew who I was. They didn't have to look at no chart. They knew my name. They had a conversation with me. It was like with him, I was like, okay, I got to spend 5 minutes with this one lady. So I agree with her statement in reference to blacks having black doctors, but still know that they're loyal to their profession first before their race. Never forget that.
You don't think so? Statistically speaking, I have a better chance of having better care from a BIPOC person. It's nobody black in here.
That's true. They're so quiet. I didn't watch this. They are all quiet after that. It's like, yeah, I'm the only black person here. There's nobody black here. So how would y'all? Wow.
Okay.
And they know it's true too. I'm so tired of this. I'm over this whole situation. Like, y'all are gonna make me have level 3 tracing. How bad y'all stressing me out?
One second, ma'am, because what I'm trying to understand is then I've heard a lot of evidence and testimony today, and please understand, Ms. Doyley, I'm not ordering that they perform a C-section on you right now. You understand that, right? Do you understand that?
Yeah, as long as I beat this and do that. So what is happening if 6 o'clock comes and nothing is still wrong with the baby? They're gonna tie me up and go give me a C-section against my will?
Okay, so that's the doctors in the background like, no, we won't tie you up. That's barbaric. We'll just sedate you.
Ms. Doyley, that's what's going to be entered. I'm going to circulate this proposed order to the other attorneys. Enter this in today, not requiring anything except for an emergency basis, which you've already consented to between now and we're going to come back at 8 a.m. and check on you. I hope you have a healthy birth this evening. And hope that goes well. I see you shaking your head yes, and so I want to make sure you hear me as well, so that and this is only in the event, in an emergency, if for some reason you withdrew your consent, which let's get you unmuted to make sure that this is real clear.
There you go.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Doyley, does that make sense to you as well?
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate you spending 2 hours on a Sunday going through my medical history and fighting for my vagina and my baby.
Well, listen, ma'am. Where you'll see me again? I don't know. You may not see me again because if you had, hopefully you have a healthy.
This was on a Sunday. This was on a Sunday. This is crazy. This was on a Sunday. They don't normally have court on Sundays, but because of this, they had an emergency Zoom call on a Sunday. Oh, this crazy work.
Birth this evening. I hope that happens for you. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We'll be back then at 8 a.m. I just want to make it clear. This is only in the event of an emergency on those situations such as the fetal bradycardia, the fetal heart rate tracing category 3, or signs of uterine disruption, which I understand you're already consenting to.
Yes.
So but you just can't withdraw your consent because I'm requiring it at this point. Is that clear?
That's perfectly fine, and I already agreed to that. So
okay, then we're all on the same page.
Okay, and this is the last clip from. I think this is the last clip. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Oh, wait. Hold on. I think this is. Hold on. Let me make sure.
Ms. Doyley can correct me in any of these things if I'm
Okay. All right. Before we play this, let me tell you all what happened, okay? So Doyley had 3 prior C-sections, including one that resulted in hemorrhage. After 3 hours of testimony, all while Doyley lay in her hospital bed, the judge ruled that she could keep trying for a vaginal birth unless there was an emergency, okay? So here we have, overnight, doctors said the baby's heart rate dropped for 7 minutes. Doyley woke to her hospital bed being wheeled into surgery. The baby was delivered by C-section. The next day at 8 a.m., nurses again put Doyley in front of a tablet for the final hearing. So this is the final hearing right here. Okay. And this is 39 seconds, so I would like to, I haven't watched this, by the way, so let's see what happens.
Ms. Doyley can correct me in any of these things if I'm misspeaking. The low-dose Pitocin
you know what?
started...
I don't want to be on him anymore because this is re-traumatizing. Tell them I don't want to be on it.
Okay.
Y'all can have your own meeting. I want to see my child.
Well, I think, quite frankly, Ms. Doyley, I'm about to terminate jurisdiction on this case because I think it concludes now. Anyways, in light of then just the situation that if the child has been at this point born, I don't think there's anything else for this court to do.
Thank you. So please close it down because y'all already stressed me out enough yesterday. I don't want to hear nothing else. I don't care nothing about the clinical analysis. I was there.
Okay. So let me just give my final word on this. And I'm going to do another video where I talk to women and tell them how they should prepare for a pregnancy. So much old school information have been lost to the point where I'm arguing with young girls about whether they could drink wine while they're pregnant, even if it's 1 glass. And I'm telling them, birthing is sacred. How did we get to the point where we forgot that? And maybe women don't see it that way anymore, and we have to change that. But giving birth is sacred. It's a sacred position. It's a sacred ceremony. It's sacred. You're bringing in another life. You could die in the process of bringing in another life. And you're just like, oh, I'm pregnant, oh, Tyra, I'm pregnant, this, that, and the other. You all are not picking the right men to father your children. You're not picking the right environment. You don't have a village to help you raise the child, let alone be there when you give birth. When women, every home birth I have participated in, every woman had a support system of women, of other women. You had the women that was going to cook, the women that was going to make sure you oil your belly so you don't have stretch marks. You had a woman that was going to basically walk with you, talk to you, make sure that you're not stressed out, and like be there for you, cook. Like there's so much women are supposed to do for one another, and we are that village. And you're supposed to prepare the body at least 2 years before conceiving. A lot of women can't conceive. It's because your body is too toxic. You have not even, your uterus is too acidic, and you cannot have a baby under these circumstances. Also, if you have fibroids, if you have PCOS, if you also have endometriosis, that stuff has to be taken care of too. If you get pregnant while you're when you have fibroids, the fibroids are going to grow with the baby. You know, sometimes it causes miscarriage, sometimes it doesn't. That is an issue. You have to prepare your mind and your body prior to having a baby. No smoking cigarettes, no smoking weed, no drinking beer, no drinking alcohol. Hell, I come from I am so old school that my generation was like, you couldn't even get a perm when you was pregnant. Now, like, y'all just do all kinds of stuff. You expose your body to all kinds of toxins and plastics and all kind of chemicals, and not realizing it's going right to your baby. That's the reason why a lot of problems with children are on the rise now, because mothers are not taking in consideration that they should prepare their bodies for birth. But like I said, women, particularly Black women, you can cut down 80% or 85, I can even say 90%. You can cut down 90% of the drama that you're getting in the medical institution. And I know what you all say, like the mortality rate is very, very high when it comes to the medical institution and Black women. Then let's go back to the way of our ancestors. What's wrong with that? Did you think your great-grandmama and your grandmama had these problems? No, they didn't have these problems. And some of them had 12 kids and they had it all in their house. You all feel like you're nothing without the medical institution. And then you get shocked, which I have to admit, I'm very shocked that this happened. But it's like, can we please hold those who are in professional positions at a higher level? I would never, ever, ever have a morbidly obese doula. I would never recommend her to any of my clients. It's like if I would not have a fat nutritionist, especially an obese nutritionist, why would I have anybody else in that level that's morbidly obese who's a fitness trainer, a doula, a nutritionist, a chiropractor, anything dealing with health? You're supposed to look like you practice what you preach. Granted, we all fall short, but we got to get back on the wagon. Like I said, I think the max I have ever been overweight was 60 pounds. That's the max. And I just looked in the mirror one day and like, oh, I got to do something about that. And I did it. Okay. And I made a promise to myself that I would never, ever get that big again. And I love myself so much that I will not break that promise. But, woo, this is a very long video. However, it's a very needed video. Expect the next video to talk about the process that women are supposed to have to take prior to getting pregnant. I think this will cut down on a lot of infertility. I think this will also help with will stop a lot of complications during pregnancy, and it will stop with a lot of issues that you have with morning sickness or any kind of sickness during pregnancy. Let's not neglect the old-timey ways because they work. Anyway, I'm gonna get off. This is gonna be a long video, but it was a much needed video because when I saw this, I was like, wow, oh my goodness. But let me know what you think by leaving a comment below this video. Don't forget to give me a like. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. And I'll see you all on the next video. Okay? Peace and blessings.